So, good morning to all of you. So, I am Dimuthu Suranjana, Chartered Accountant, and today I am going to discuss Strategic Management and Leadership paper which was conducted in February 2021. At beginning I want to tell you a few things. One thing is the pass rate was very low in this exam. I don't know about the figures, right, since CA has not published them, but what I have heard is very low pass rate. There were no students who has obtained 70 mark because no prize was given. That indicate that no one has taken 70 mark. So, one thing I think students has to understand is this is strategic level, right? This is strategic level. So, this is the final level you are going to complete in chartered career. So, there is a vast difference between the level 2 and the 3. For an example, the previous subject equivalent to this SML was business value creation. The subject was in second level in previous syllabus, but this is third level. Therefore, the expectation is too much. Here, examiner tries to test your knowledge, especially related to applications. Therefore, so you need to do more questions. It's better to cover the past papers for in the BBC paper, that's okay, but you want to go to the next level also. So, here the more application is tested. So, for the theory, the examiner is not giving any weight actually. Therefore, it is important from students' point of view to do more questions and develop their analytical skills, right. So, sometimes what happens is students think SML is very easy, this is theory, no, we can write something, so that the belief students have, but that ultimately lead for your failure. Someone has to look after your answers. Right, someone has to look after your answers, not look after actually, someone has to check your answers before, right, you go for the final paper. You have to write answers for the questions, and someone maybe from some partner in your firm, you can get the assistance of some partner in your firm, and he may be helpful in this scenario. So, he will right, tell you whether your answers are good or bad, right. So, as a lecturer, my personal experience, right, this SML subject, so I am looking about, I am marking answers of the students, so my personal experience, their answers is very bad. So, initially, so their answers are very bad, so gradually they improve. So, someone has to review your answers actually from beginning to end. So, get the help of probably one of your partners in your audit firm, and ask him to go through your answers and try to improve this one. So, try to find more questions related with this one. Study facts, theory knowledge. First you have to acquire the theory knowledge from the study fact, then the next thing you have to do is you have to do some question from the revision kit. So, you have to do some question from the revision kit, so that will also give some insight for you. In addition to that one, I recommend you to look at about some of the other professional exam, even ACCA and ICEW, ICEW. So, those are some of the sources, find some questions and do it and develop your analytical skills. But do all these things, this is right, you have to start at least 5 months back this process, because you, first of all you have to master the theory, Then after that you have to do all these respective past papers, then you have to do some other questions of ACCA, ICA, EW also. Otherwise, you will not be able to pass this paper. It is very tough. I don't know about the number of students pass. As per my knowledge, I think less than 20 has passed this paper. So that indicate the difficulty of this paper. Even as a lecturer, if someone asks me to write this paper, I don't think even myself I will be able to get 70. Application side. If I just go and write, so it will be a tough job for even for me, right? So therefore, give more weight on this. That's the point that I want to highlight here, right? So don't think that this is the easiest subject at strategic level. No, this will be the most difficult subject at the strategic level. So you have to be prepare yourself to write this paper, right? So when you look at about this paper, now you are aware that there are 3 questions. Part A include 2 25-mark questions. Part 2 include 50-mark questions. The 50-mark question is based on the free scene given. So that is one of the important things that you have to look at. You must familiar with the free scene given. If you are not familiar with the free scene given, definitely you will struggle again. You have to do the required analysis and go to the exam. I will show you the analysis I have done. So before the exam, based on the free scene given, right? You have to try to apply different theories in relation to the free scene given. You have to be master, because a 50-mark question is based on the free scene given. So if you are not familiar with that one, again you will struggle. So therefore, please make sure, right, you do all the prerequisite before going for the exam, right. So I will move to the paper. I will move to the paper. So March 2021 paper. So I am going to start with the question number 3, section 2, since pre-scene was given based on this. So look at the marks here, 50 marks are given. Look at the part A, analyze the culture of HCL using Handy's classification of organization culture. So he is asking you to analyze the culture of HCL using Handy's classification of organization culture. Then part B, select 3 SBUs of HCL of your choice and explain the criteria used in establishing such SBUs. 6 marks. Part C, analyze the growth strategies for HCL by using Enso matrix. So analyze the growth strategies for HCL by using Enso matrix. These suggest the most appropriate operation management strategies for HCL in implementing business strategies at the operation level of the organization under the current context of COVID-19. So operation management strategies. He discussed the human resource practices of HCL and suggests a strategy for better performance of HCL. HR1. Then F, discuss the motives, drivers and challenges for HCL in the involvement of the international business. 10 marks. Right. so before moving to this unseen, before moving to the unseen, actually this is the unseen part, we will look at about the free scene given also. We will try to get some understanding about the free scene given in relation to this. After that we will look at about this unseen part. Right, is the common free scene given. Sometimes students ask how many times we want to read this unseen, pre-scene part before the exam. So, what is the answer for that particular questions is there is no limit. That is what I tell you. There is no limit of identifying number of times, right, you want to read the pre-scene part. So, if you can read 10 times, read, that is better, you can get a more familiarity regarding that, right. So, here I am not going to read the whole stuff, right. If I started to read this whole stuff, it will take 3 hours for me to look at about this one. I will try to identify the main point related with this. Right. Here they are going to talk about Healthcare and Leisure Private Limited, HCL. Is one of the largest companies in Sri Lanka. Actually, I remember when I analyzed this one before the exam, I found this information is similar to the HEMAS holding. This is one way actually you can get more informations. If you found the information given is similar to a company, then what you can do is you can look at about the real company in more details. So, that will give more booster for you, more confidence for you. So, here HCL is one of the largest companies in Sri Lanka, and it is a very established company. The owner was Edward De Silva, right. He normally is well recognized for high ethical values, and his values were helpful to achieve the status of the company now. Then if you look at about the history of the company, if you look at the Edward, he is a graduate. He got the required qualification from University of Peradeniya in chemistry, and after the graduations he started to work as a chemist in reputed drug company. So, he had the ambition of running his own company. So, after obtaining the experience of working as a chief chemist, then so initially his dream was to establish a manufacturing plant for pharmaceutical product in Sri Lanka. So, he achieved his dream in 1969. He established his company Healthcare Drug Private Limited, HCL, as a wholesale and retail chemist and druggist in Colombo Fort. Initially what they did was actually to import drugs and distributed them among authorized dealers network in the country. Then he invited one of his friend George Gunawardana, he is qualified economics, to join the company in 1978 by pumping some more additional capital. Then in 1978 they have established the first pharmaceutical and veterinary product manufacturing facility in Sri Lanka. by obtaining a loan from a local bank, right. Then he was always eager to diversify the activities of the organization. As a result, in 1985, they entered to the FMCG sector, and that was handled by two directors, Kamal Dias and Vasanadi Silva. In 2004, SED went on to the establish first hospital in Nugegoda in order to expand its capacity in the healthcare sector. 2008, SED was restructured and they came up with new vision and missions and changed the name as Healthcare and Leisure Private Limited (HCL), allowing it to diversify the business into different sectors such as tourism and logistics in the future. Vision mission has been given, right. Then you can read that also. Then one of the directors were given the opportunity to look after the newly established leisure and travel business that was established in 2009. Their objective was to promote the tourism. And if you look at the Bonaka, he is also a very qualified guy. He is having a SIM from UK. Then first they entered to the travel industry by establishing an outbound and inbound travel agency. Then after a few years, they started their first hotel, HCL Coral Garden in Hikkaduwa, which was a 5-star hotel, and had the capacity of 100 rooms by 2012. And at present, they are trying to develop 2 new hotels in Mullaitivu and Pasiguda. They expected to complete the construction of these 2 hotels in 2022. Right. Edward, who is the chairman of HCL, decided to enter the logistics sector in 2010. Right. He decided to enter the logistics sector in 2010. Then they built 2 warehouses in Sidhu and Katnayaka. Then logistics sector was headed by another shareholder, Kusal Ferra. He is a good friend of Edward. He is also a very qualified guy. He is a member of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport in UK, and he is having the knowledge of working as CEO in this particular sector. Then subsequently, one of his friends, Sudha Ferra, encouraged Edward to enter into the power and energy sector. This give an opportunity to provide electricity to national grid by building a oil mill farm in Manna in 2014. It involved an investment of 450 million fixed assets to install 2 windmill plant with the total capacity of 2 MW to promote the alternative energy concept, and 3 windmill were subsequently added in 2016 by investing 700 million. In December 2039, HCL brought 35% of the state capital of Healthcare Drug Bangladesh Limited, which has a consortium consisting of Indian and Bangladeshi investors, for Taka 450 million, around USD 5.5 million. If you look at about the history of the company, this Edward was the chairman of the company from the inspections. His leadership was helpful for this company to come to current level. He always believed to add new SBUs to the company. but the new CEO, Mr. Prabhat Jayasinghe, was opposed to that belief, and he believed that these SBU should be separated to minimize the risks and to implement efficient internal control system. Then more information is given on the leadership of Edward. So, Edward is a pioneer entrepreneur who is in transition to becoming a sustainable entrepreneur, an aspirant futurist and ardent chemist, right. He served as a director of several government bodies also, in addition to the chairman of HCL. Then some information is given about Edward. Right. He studied from one of the leading school in Colombo, and he had multiple talent like music, athletics and art. So, he was very popular in school and the university. He was a visionary, and he always had the motto, never miss an opportunity. Then he played rugby, then basketball also during the school and university career. Then due to his unique leadership, the team were able to win national level championship. Edward always believed the capabilities of his team and trusted them, right, and he ensured that his team participated in regular training and used novel technique during practices and tournament. Right. Then he always believed to have a good relation with different people, and he trusted everyone who work in the company. If you look at the board of the director of HCL, which comprised of 8 executive directors and 2 independent directors, he always believed that employees are the strength for the company. Therefore, he gave a lot of facilities to employee like transport, food. Employees were paid well. There were a lot of employees who are working for so long period of time. So, they always encourage employee to achieve unexpected and remarkable result. He give the freedom to the employee when you look at about the task to be done. Then if you look at the best practices and the levels of product and service quality, so they have acquired ISO 9001 from Sri Lanka Standard Institutions, and they are one of the few companies who has acquired that particular certificate. He always try to maintain quality standard. This company always try to maintain the quality standard. They had manufacturing plant in 2 places, Horana. Actually they had the manufacturing plant in Horana. They were very careful in manufacturing these drugs and distribution also. Right. Then financial information are also given. So, their objective is to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. They consider EPS as one of the main indicator as measurement of the value creation with shareholders. They are at present they are operating in 5 sectors, that is FMCG, healthcare, leisure and travel, logistics and power and energy. They have just entered the international market by buying 35% of Bangladesh company. They at the moment they are considering Indian market for further expansion. Whenever there is a requirement for fund, he look at about friends and ask them to come and join and put the capital. He was reluctant to go to public, but finance director Sisra Gunawardana is emphasizing to go to public, right, and at the same time he believed that these 5 SB should operate as a separate legal entities. In recent past, he submitted a board paper emphasizing the importance of looking for acquisition and partnering. Then risk management is given, that may be more relevant with your audit and risk management paper. They had corporate governance structure. Then they explain this risk management process, risk identification, analysis, evaluation, reporting and monitoring. Some of the risks are discussed at the board level, right. They apply this COSA framework. There are some subcommittees to review existing internal controls, maybe audit committee, right. And then they have mentioned some point here. There was a massive fraud detected in HCL in relation to the payroll preparations and payment, and if you look at about this particular process, this process was handled by an employee who was with the company for more than 10 years. See, someone right, who were working for more than 10 years, handling the payroll preparation and payment. So management believe him, therefore management didn't supervise much on his tasks. So but the fraud happened in this area. And there are some non-compliance also in financial statement preparations. Then they have given some information about the COVID-19 pandemic impact. Then they have analyzed different sectors they have. FMCG. So they have a range of products which are useful for babies as well as adults, including hair, skin and oral care products and fragrances. Then at the moment they have a market share of 25%. Healthcare, SCL Healthcare comprise SCL Pharmaceutical. So that is the largest distribution of pharmaceutical, surgical and diagnostic product in Sri Lanka, and also the manufacturing of pharmaceutical product under HCL brand and HCL Hospital, internationally accredited multi-specialty private hospital. So two main areas, pharmaceutical and the hospital. Then they tell about the hospital informations. They have a hospital in 3 main places, Nugegoda, Ragam and Kandy. And they are one of the largest diagnostic laboratory chain in Sri Lanka. The market share has been given: pharmaceutical 28, diagnostic laboratory 20, hospital 12%. Leisure and travel. HCL Travel, the outbound and inbound travel arm of HCL, and HCL Travel is one of the largest B2B outbound travel agent in Sri Lanka. Logistic, SCL Logistic is specialized in creating tailor-made logistics solution for import and export customers in Sri Lanka. Then Farm and Energy, and they have 5 windmills in Manna. They generate 5 megawatt of electricity. So that is the sector overview. Then human capital, energy and emissions, ownership structure has been given. Then some more information about company, right? Shares and market informations. Then annexure about demography of Sri Lanka. Then some more information about pharmaceutical market in Sri Lanka. Actually, strength opportunities have been given. Then industry forecast has been given. So it will be more opportunities because population becoming more aging one. Then there are some chronic diseases. By 2022, the pharmaceutical market in Sri Lanka is expected to reach a value of USD 787 million. So government reduce prices of 25 medicine that help to grow of the industry. 2016, another 48 essential drug price were reduced. Then at the same time, uncommunicable diseases, NCDs are on the rise. %65% total death in Sri Lanka are due to cancer, diabetics, and cardiovascular and chronic respiratory diseases. Then more information about pharmaceutical trade also. Then regulatory framework. Then financial data are given. Right. I quickly cover free seen informations. So, sorry, unseen information. We have quickly covered the unseen informations. Then we look at about unseen part also. We discussed the pre-seen informations. Now unseen part. Look at this unseen part. Now question number 3 is telling that based on the common free scene, further to the information provided in the common free scene, additional information is available for your analysis, suggestion and evaluations. Edward, who is now reaching his 80s, is of the opinion that SCL should run as the holding company with SBU. He is confident of his practices which had proved positive result and continuous growth. Through the finance director and the CEO requested for a change in the structure. The board of directors who had been with Edward for a long period were in support of Edward's decisions. Now, finance director and the CEO want a change in the structure, but Edward preferred to go with holding company SBU structure, and the board of directors who were with him for long period of time with him are also supportive to the founders' belief on this holding an SBU structure. SCL decided not to sell any non-performing SBUs which would retain the current company structure. The Easter bombing during April 2019 led to a drop in revenues in mid 2019 mainly from the leisure sector. So, we all know what happened to the leisure sector after Easter bombing attack. This situation has become worse during the year 2020 due to COVID-19, still continue. No? Also, some issues with the power generation policies did not allow them to expand the generation capacities further through they intended to do so. Despite the above, the healthcare sector growth was very encouraging and compensate for the losses of the other SBUs during 2020. This situation further justifies the decision taken by chairman, but SBUs who compensate the losses of other SBU did not favor the outcome. So, there are some issues in the power generation sector, especially there are some issues with the power generation policies that did not allow them to expand the generation capacities. Healthcare sector, no issue, it was growing well, and that growth helped to absorb the losses of the other SBUs also. In addition, the finance director with the help of the CEO is trying various ways to change the structure, evidencing many malpractices done in the leisure and power sector by some senior managers who were trusted by Edward and were known as loyal employees. Yes, we found one issue. No? Upon realization of these issues, the pressure on Edward started building up, and this led him to get medical advice instructing him to slow down and minimize the time spent at office. Now, he is suffering from some problem, his health is affected due to this. Being a person who was very active, aggressive and progressive, this situation did not allow him to be of healthy mindset. He was distraught about the malpractices committed by his loyal and trusted managers and took a drastic decision, remove 2 senior managers and appoint 2 new managers recommended by the CEO. He removed 2 guys and appointed 2 new guys, both well known as some of the best in the logistic and power sectors, came from competitors, well known guys in the industry. The CEO of SCL showed them the prospectors to becoming CEOs of the sector and managed to obtain their support to establish separate companies for each sector. CEO of SCL showed them the prospectors to becoming CEOs of the sector and managed to obtain their support to establish separate companies for each sector. Finance director and CEO were in the process of convincing other shareholders about the consequences they all have to face if Edward were to pass away. They used realistic example, request the shareholder, encourage Edward to convert the company into a public company, creating separate companies for different sectors. While these issues are making SCL operation difficult, Edward managed to expand the international representation of SCL by investing with another Indian company that supply cancer-related pharmaceutical to the world leaders. Now, he expand the operation, right? He in the pre-seen part, it was mentioned that they are evaluating into the Indian market, but in this unseen part, it's clearly say they have joined with Indian company. And supply cancer-related pharmaceutical to the world leaders. They agreed to open a BOI company, CMT HCL Pharmaceutical Manufacturers PLC in Sri Lanka with HCL, and also agreed to open a cancer treatment center covering the HCL hospital chain. right. So, they agreed to open a BOI company CMT HCL Pharmaceutical Manufacture PLC in Sri Lanka, and also they agreed to open a cancer treatment center covering the HCL hospital chain. The new BOI company was formed with the help of CMT Pharmaceutical India Limited, that was introduced by Healthcare Drugs Limited. 60% of the product made in this BOI company was sold to the world leading cancer medicine supplier under their brand name, and 40% were exported to CMT Pharmaceutical India Limited. The CEO and finance leader fully support the formation of new separate BOI company, during which they show Edward the advantage of having separate companies and going in for a public quoted company. The leading international players who became acquainted with Edward during the formation of this company were highly impressed with the progress of SCL, and they too encouraged him to relax and enjoy the progress of the company leisurely. So, analyze the culture. What are the requirements? First part is analyze the culture of SCL using Handy's classification of organization culture. Right. Before that, I have told you, based on this pre-scene, you can do some analysis. Look at the analysis I have done here. So, I have analyzed owner information Edward De Silva, then Healthcare and Leisure Private Limited information separately. Then I have done a SWOT analysis. So, here actually I have done a 5 process analysis. I did this one within the classroom actually, therefore, I have kept blank here. Then I have done portfolio analysis. I try to apply BCG metrics to this. Then I have done pestle analysis. Then I have analyzed leadership style based on Blake and Mountain managerial grid. Then I have analyzed the 3 levels of strategy of the company: corporate level, business level, functional level. I have done financial analysis of a bit. Then I have tried to apply PLC concept for the given scenario. I have applied Enso product market expansion grid for the given information. Then I have applied transformation leadership theory with 4 I's. So, these are the some things that I have done based on the pre scene. Right here, the first requirement is to analyze the culture, of SCL using Handy's classification of organization culture. If you remember the theory area, by Handy's classification of culture. So, this is Handy's classification about culture, if you remember. So, he identify 4 types of cultures: power culture, role culture, task culture and person culture. Now, what is power culture? Power is concentrated at the center of the organization, and is held by one individual or small group of senior managers. And in this type of culture, there are few formal rules for the organizations and very little bureaucracy. Role culture, so authority for decision making is delegated to individuals, then jobs and responsibilities are clearly defined. There are formal rules and procedures. Then task culture. So, here project teams are normally formed to solve a particular problem. Power and authority of individual come from their expertise and knowledge, and their ability to perform particular tasks for the project team. Then person culture. So, individuals believe themselves to be superior to the organizations, and the organization exists to serve their interest. Right. This is the theory part you have learned. Now, if you look at about this scenario, what do you think? So, what is the culture exit at this particular organizations? Here actually there are few concerns. This is not a single entity, this is a group of a company. Holding company is there, then under the holding company there are some SBUs available. Therefore, there may be different culture exit in different SBUs. So, we can't just say one particular culture is available for whole SBUs. Look at the power culture. Now, power is considered the center of the organizations. What do you think about this? Here, Edward is taking decisions, and he appoints the people to carry out the business activities. Always, right, he selected his friend to carry out the business activities. So, what do you think about that? So, he takes lot of decision regarding this particular organizations. Others' power is very low. So, that indicate that the power culture criteria are exceeding this particular organizations. So, actually power culture features are high in this organization, since Edward is taking most of the decision in the organization and his power is very high in this particular organizations. Then what do you think about other cultures? What about role culture? Here role culture, what should happen is authority for decision making delegated to individuals. What do you think? Has they done that one? No, I do not think so. Now, here Edward is taking decisions, even CEO can't take decisions. So, he has to refer to Edward to take the decisions. Right. Therefore, I think the features of role culture is very low here. There may be formal rules and procedures, that is true, but in overall manner, features of role culture is low. Then task culture, what do you think about the task culture? Normally, in task culture, the power and authority of individual come from their expertise and knowledge. If you look at about these SBUs, in most of the SBUs, Edward has appointed very high qualified people. You may remember, for example, right, logistics sector, they appoint someone who is having experience in the logistics sector. Leisure sector, they appoint someone who is having experience in the leisure sector. So, therefore, I think features of task culture is also very high. Then person culture, what do you think about the person culture? Here organization exists to serve their interest. So, if you look at this particular organization, this organization has been established to serve the interest of the Edward. So, he created the organization to enjoy his personal requirement. Therefore, one can argue that the features of the person culture is also high, right. So, those are arguments you can have, right. You have to prove your point. There is no one particular answer here. So, we will look at about what the examiner tell on this also. We'll check what the examiner tell on this. So, look at the point he has mentioned first, very important point. Why I am saying this is very important point for you? Look at this. Question 3 was based on the common pre-seen as well as unseen specific to the subject of strategic management leadership. We all know that point. Therefore, these suggested answers are very comprehensive, right. These suggestions are very comprehensive, and it is not possible to expect candidate to cover all the areas mentioned. So, it is not practical for a students to cover all the area expected, even the time will be a problem. If the candidate justify his analysis, if the candidate justify his analysis covers at least 75% of the suggested answer in his answer and make sure the principles have been followed, then marking examiners can take their discretion in awarding the full marks. Examiner does not expect from you to come up with answer which 100% match with the examiner answer. If 75% is matching, then he is asking for markers to allocate full mark for you. Then marking examiners can take their discretion in awarding the full marks, clearly mentioned. Further, please note that specifically in this subject, candidate can analyze issues in different perspectives. Specifically in this subject, candidate can analyze issues in different perspectives, right. So, look at the answer for the part A. Edward, as the founder president of the HCL, from the beginning itself has inculcated a culture centers toward his personal attributes such as commitment toward work, honesty, trust among employees, proper treatment of people, etc. He has been inviting his trustworthy friend to contribute financially rather than going into public funding, and has given them the opportunity to function as head of SBU. This further confirms the said culture. The culture at HCL can be best explained by using Handy's classification on culture, which discuss the different perspective of culture: power culture, role culture, task culture, and power person culture. Now he is analyzing. Look at his analysis. Power culture. First of all, he explained the theory part, defining what is power culture. Power culture is centers at the center of the organization and is held by one individual or a small group of senior managers. Edward's sole leadership is recognized by all the head of SBUs. He has his own way of appointing leaders for each SBU, and based on trust, he has empowered few managers. He takes the main decision and he is dominant force of the organization. Yes, he takes the main decision. He is the dominant force of the organization. Each SBU head manages the SBUs with the help of managers who have the trust of Edward. The employee are well looked after. However, some of the trusted employees have taken the power they have and misused it. So, this Edward dominance is very clear in this given scenario. Therefore, features of power culture is high. Then role culture, he defined what is role culture. Role culture, what happens is authority for decision making is delegated to individuals who have particular roles or position within the organizations. Jobs and responsibilities are clearly defined. These are the two main features. Decision making is delegated and job and responsibility are clearly defined. In the first part, actually he explained the theory part, then application part. Learn how you want to construct an answer, right? So, here is clearly evidence. So, first para he explained the theory part, then the application part. At HCL, the role culture is not very prominent. The decision making power is not decentralized. Yes, decision power is not decentralized. Even the CEO and the finance leader cannot influence the decision taken by Edward and the few senior managers who run the SBUs. It can be assumed that the role of these individuals are not clearly defined. So, within the answer, he look at about the first character whether authority for decision making is delegated. That is not evidence here, because decisions, most of the decisions are taken by the Edward himself. The next thing, actually we do not have much information, therefore he assumed, it can be assumed that the roles of these individuals are not clearly defined. Therefore, the features of this culture is very low. Then the task culture, first of all he defined what is task culture. Theory part, the power and authority of individual come from their expertise and knowledge and their ability to perform particular tasks for the project team. Team often consists of group of highly skilled individuals. Now, next thing is the application. At HCL, Edward has appointed well experienced head for each SBU. Using their knowledge and experience, they lead the team to obtain the best output. Even in the power and energy sector, the weak performance is not due to the employees but due to the government regulations. Although Edward has selected his friend as head, all of them are competent individuals in each category. Yes, it is clearly evidence. For each company, SBU, he appoints highly qualified persons. Therefore, the project they undertake will be led by experts so that their task can be achieved well. So, therefore, features of task culture is highly available here, high. Then person culture, in a person culture, individuals believe themselves to be superior to the organizations. The organization exists to serve their interests. Some small partnership may premise this culture where two or more partners each bring a particular expertise to the partnership. Very theory part. Now the application, Edward created the organization to serve his want. The company he created now only with experts who can bring the experience and knowledge required in the new field. Each SBU serve the requirement of the particular expert and is supported by HCL strength. So, this organization has created to serve the need of Edward. Therefore, features of person culture is also very high. Now, look at the answer for this question. So, you have to analyze the question in detail. That the work examiner has done here. Right. So then we can move to the part B of the questions. Part B. Look at the part B. Select 3 SBUs of HCl of your choice and explain the criteria used in establishing such SBU. 6 marks. Select 3 SBUs of HCl of your choice and explain the criteria used in establishing each such SBUs. Right. So, if you look at our pre-scene, so what are the SBUs given? Actually, FMCG, there is one sector. Healthcare, actually healthcare, there were 2 actually HCl pharmaceutical and HCl hospital. So, 2 separate SBU can be identified within that. Then leisure and travel, logistic, then power and energy. Yes, actually 5 are available. What are the 5 available? One is FMCG, healthcare you can identify HCl pharmaceutical and HCl hospital. The leisure and travel, logistic, power and energy. So, based on that you can develop your answer. You have to identify only 3 SBUs and you have to tell the reason for identify such SBUs. So, one definitely you can identify is the pharmaceutical area. Why I am saying like that? Because he started from that, no, right. So, pharmaceutical area, he started the first company in pharmaceutical area. There you can mention about the pharmaceutical regarding that one, right. So, initially, right, he import drugs and then sell, then later subsequently he started manufacturing them and he may ensure that the drugs manufactured and distributed are at the highest quality. At the same time, this owner is very expert in that area. Now, his degree is also connected with this particular area. Therefore, one suggested area is the pharmaceutical. You can talk about pharmaceutical more. Then hospital, and they have 3 branches now. Hospital is another area you can suggest it. Healthcare, actually healthcare, within that you can identify hospital and lab equipment. So, here it is clearly mentioned that they have HCl pharmaceutical and the hospital. Then if you look at the hospital, actually they say that HCl hospital provide community based expert healthcare services and develop into a chain of fully fledged multifunctional hospital. So, therefore, this is another area. Then see this laboratory also, they have mentioned that one of the largest diagnostic laboratory chain in Sri Lanka. So, they have very good reputation. Therefore, that is one SBU you can have. Then leisure and travel, what do you think? This is another area you can talk. Leisure and travel, right. if you look at about some of the information given here actually this sector was also start with inviting one of the friends of Edward who is having the expert knowledge in this particular industry. So, that point you can mention that point. Then even though they are at present they are struggling actually, so what they are planning is to expand the activities in this area, establishing new 2 hotels also. You can highlight those points also. Then logistic area, that is another area you can talk logistic area. So, here also he start the company by inviting one of the industry expert. Then another area is power and energy. So, this is an area actually nowadays many people are looking at actually. So, there is a huge potential in this particular area, right. This was also started by one of friend of Edward. I is having the knowledge in power sector. So, we remember that sector is not profitable at the moment, but there is a opportunity to expand. So, this is another area you can mention. So, if you look at about this actually see, so unseen, from the unseen part we can't take much on this. So, this should be developed based on the pre-seen part, right. So, you have to use the pre-seen part when you are developing the answer for this. So, that is why I have asked you to become familiar in this particular area, that is important, right. So, we look at about the examiner's answer also. What examiner tell on this? Although SCL vision is to be the best in the health and leisure and travel sectors in the Indian subcontinent, Edward went outside the vision and established SBUs in the power and energy and logistic areas as well. He is giving some information about history. Once an organization has identified the opportunities and threats in its environment and its internal strengths and weaknesses, it must make choices about what strategies to pursue in order to achieve its target and objectives. Strategy formulation at the SBU level, the business level, is concerned mainly with decision about product and market, such as what product the decision should be producing and selling and what market segment they should be targeting. You define what is SBU. The main focus is therefore on issue related to product and market. There are 5 sectors that SCL is presently involved in. They are healthcare, pharmaceutical and hospital, leisure and travel, power and energy and logistics. Right. Then he is explaining for establishing separate SBUs. Healthcare actually, pharmaceutical and hospital, we identify the same. Right. Then leisure and travel, power and energy, logistic. So, we will see what are the points he is mentioning. Pharmaceutical easy, actually we identify so many points regarding this one. Pharmaceutical company. SCL started with pharmaceutical, which was the Edward's pet area. His initial step was importing and achieving cost leadership, and then he started local manufacturing. Yes, we discussed the same. He started the company by importing this drug and distributing, then subsequently he start local manufacturing also. He followed the best practice industry and has tried to his best to maintain higher standard, which is an essential part of the pharmaceutical industry. Yes, he acquired some of the ISO certificate also. The market was very favorable and government policies supported local manufacturing. SCL primary product is pharmaceutical and Edward is an expert in the field. Therefore, the criteria used in establishing this sector was cost leadership and value creation. Also, SCL can work competitively with the international brand with the mergers done in the sector. With the growing market and supportive environment condition in industry, SCL is in the strong position for further growth. Therefore, investing in the BOI factory to expand their international presence further strengthen the situations. So, pharmaceutical, then healthcare, hospital and lab equipment. The value addition to the healthcare division from pharmaceutical is that they can be very competitive in supporting drug formulation. The involvement actually in laboratory equipment has also helped them to get into healthcare sector. Moving into the cancer related treatment area is another value creation to customers, and the partnership with the international organization related to cancer treatment allow HCL to act on cost leadership and address high end niche market. Yes, they have entered that segment also, no, cancer treatment area also, with the help of that Indian party. Leisure and travel. Leisure and travel, this sector started with an expert in the leisure and marketing areas, and it's later recruited the CEO who was a professional from the industry. Yes, that's true, no. This again reflects the strength of HCL strategies. Initially it was to support the tour operation unit, and then it became a value addition to the total package of a high occupancy rate, show the success and satisfaction of the niche market to which they cater. The effects of 2019 Easter attack negatively affected the SBU. However, the timely recruitment of new CEO encouraged HCL board to undertake further expansion, and they just when the market was improving slowly. COVID-19 slowed down the total industry growth. Edward concept of maintaining SBUs prevent this SBU from collapsing, since it was under a very strong holding company. Because of the strength of the holding company, they survive, you know. Power and energy, as usual, Edward started this SBU with one of his friends who was in the field of power generation. This SBU is not running at a profit. However, the technology used in power generation is very high, and it uses wind to generate power. Once again, HCL has used financial strength to introduce the latest technology, achieve cost leadership. Electric generation using wind power has no raw material cost, but the initial investment is high. As SBU HCL, it can survive for some more time till the market environment become right. The head of this SBU is strong person to influence the government. As Edward is a well respected business figure, his influence may also work positively over this investment decision does not comply with the vision of HCL. Edward's vision is biased toward becoming one of the best businessmen, and his decisions are also influenced by his trusted friend. So, this logistic, more information. This was another SBU that was started with a friend in order to expand the activities of HCL. The decision was not in par with the vision of HCL, but it was made by Edward to reach the personal target of becoming one of the best businessmen. Edward selected an expert in the area. This SBU also consumed the profit of HCL FMCG SBU. However, Edward's power of negotiation has led to the signing of agreement with international maritime and airline agents actually. They have also invested in the latest technology to provide budgeted solution to client. Nevertheless, after running for 10 years, the losses of this SBU are increasing. That is another sector. Right, this can be found easily actually. Mecchala lokuta uttare nonne, your answer should not be comprehensive like that. So, you can mention few points and you can identify 3 SBUs very easily. Right. Then we can move to the part C of the questions. Analyze the growth strategies for HCL by using Enso metrics. So, you may remember Enso metrics. We will check the theory knowledge also a little bit. So, within the Enso metric, we identify 4 strategies. What are the 4 strategies we have identified? That market penetrations, product market development, and diversifications. So, you remember this one, metrics. So, within the metrics, we try to identify 4 different options based on 2 variables, product and market. In relation product and market, we identify 2 options, existing and new. If you are going to succeed within the existing market with the existing product, we call it as market penetration strategy. If you try to achieve the success by introducing a new product to the existing market, we call it as product development strategy. If you try to go to a new marketplace with the existing product, that is called market development strategy. Then if you try to introduce new product into a new market, that is called diversification strategy. We identify 2 type of diversifications, related and unrelated diversifications. Related mean within the existing industry, you try to diversify your activities, can be vertical or horizontal integrations. Vertical mean you started to do activities related with supplier or distributor. Horizontal mean you try to do some complementary or competitive activity. Unrelated mean you are going to do activity which has no relationship with your previous activities, right. Now, here our requirement is to apply the given scenario to the Enso matrix. Right. So, if you remember, we went to Bangladesh operation, those are market development. In India also we develop with Indian party, that is market development. So, what are the example? And so metrics, so what are the example? Market penetrations, so the existing marketplace, so what are the industries we are in? This pharmaceutical, healthcare, hospital and equipment, leisure and travel, power and energy, logistic. If you look at about these things, this pharmaceutical, I think within the pharmaceutical industry, I think we may try to apply market penetration in the pharmaceutical industry. That is one example. Pharmaceutical, then any other example we can identify. So, FMCG, what do you think? FMCG definitely in market penetration strategy, FMCG. Then hospital, what do you think? Healthcare, what? Market penetration, they may try to apply market penetrations. The logistic we are struggling, we may try to apply market penetrations. So, what about product development? Are we going to do some innovation regarding some medicine? Yes. Therefore, pharmaceutical will be part of that one, right? Pharmaceutical industry, where we will try to do some new product development. Then personal care, that FMCG sector, we may try to do some product innovations. Healthcare also, we may try to do some product innovations. Logistic also, we may try to do some product innovations. Market development, maybe we try to go to some other market, that is example pharmaceutical. The leisure, we may try to develop 2 new hotels. So, therefore, market development strategy. Power, new mills, market development strategy. Healthcare, for example, if you start a new hospital in another different area, we can do that one, again market development strategy. Then diversification, here actually initially we were not in power and logistic industry, but subsequently we enter into power and logistic industry. If you look at about the pre-scene, actually it was mentioned clearly. See this logistic, power and energy. So, subsequently we diversified into this segment. So, diversification strategy is available related with that one, right. So, we will look at about the examiner's answer also. So, product market strategies involve determining which product should be sold in which market by market penetration, market development, product development and diversifications. I think that is extracted from the study fact itself, right. The theory part. Diversification is assumed to be risky, especially diversification that is entirely unrelated to current product and market. Yes, we know that normally diversification is the most riskiest strategy out of the 4 strategies. The Enso metric describe how a combination of a firm activities in current and new market with existing and new product can lead to growth. The following diagram is done in relation to SCL activities. Look at the diagram he has developed. Market penetration, pharmaceutical, personal care, healthcare, logistic, we can expanded activities within the existing market. Then what we can do is we can introduce new product in the existing market in what areas? In all 4 areas actually, pharmaceutical, personal care, healthcare and logistic, we can come up with new products. Then market development, pharmaceutical, leisure, power and healthcare, we can go to a new market. Diversification, power and logistic. Look at this for the theory part, 2 marks have been given. For labeling the grid correctly, 2 marks. Placing the sector in the respective segment, 4 marks, total 6 marks. How many marks are given? 10 marks. No. Then for the explanation, the balance mark can be obtained. Right. The 4 strategies of Enso metrics are: now he is explaining those things. Market penetrations focuses on increasing sales of existing product to an existing market. The FMCG and healthcare sectors of SCL are presently working in this area. Even the logistics sector look like it is seeking market penetrations. So, he is providing some example. So, look at here what he has done is for each strategy define what it is, then provide few example. Then product development, see again definition, focused on introducing new product to an existing market. All sectors except power and energy are working on product development. The power and energy sector has no choice since the government controls the supply and the market. Then market development focuses on entering a new market using existing product. Market development focuses on entering a new market using existing product. The healthcare sector has expanded the market to an international level, and the leisure and travel sector is trying to start two hotels in two different areas. Clear now? That point we also identify the same. So, market development, working with Indian and Bangladesh company are some of the main activities. Diversification focus on entering a new market with the introduction of new product. The power, energy and logistics sector are completely different to the areas SCL focus on and are not covered by the division of SCL. SCL had to develop new market and new product in these areas. No relationship for the existing activities. Therefore, power and energy and logistics are example for the diversification strategy. So, 10 mark questions. So, with that then we can move to the next part D of the questions. What is part D of the questions? Suggest the most appropriate operation management strategies for HCL in implementing business strategies at the operation level of the organization under the current context of COVID-19. Suggest the most appropriate operation management strategies for HCL in implementing business strategies at the operation level of the organization under the current context of COVID-19. So, operation management part. Here it tests your knowledge on operation management. So, what are the things you can mention in relation to this operation management? Here actually you can talk about some of the areas. So, what are the areas you can consider here? So, what are the areas normally they may have problems? That is one thing you can think. Operation management problem sometime available. For an example, logistic and power sector. So, logistic and power sector they are struggling. There is one area, right? They may have some problems. Do you agree with that particular point? So, if you look at about this whole organization, actually one thing they were working with this quality. Operation management, look at about the operation management area, then you will have more idea about the theory part. Operation management, what are the things we have discussed? Look at about the theory area. Look at these are the topic we discuss here on the operation management. Operation management, quality and project management. So, we discuss what is operation management and competitive advantage. This one area we discuss. Then we discuss new product design and innovations. The production method, quality control, project management, these are main areas. If you look at about this particular organizations, one area they were working was this quality. Do you agree? They were more considered about the quality, right? That's why they have acquired some of the ISO certification also regarding the quality. Then but there are some areas they are struggling. For example, logistic and power sector. So there may be some issue regarding the operational area. There may be some high cost areas where efficiency is not available. So you have to work on that area, right. Then if you look at the hotel, another example, if you look at the hotel sector, so the occupancy ratio is not high, still not 100%. One can argue that due to this COVID-19 impact, they may have affected, that is true, but still there may be areas for improvement. Hotel sector, because we are suffering losses now, so we can mention about that also. Then anything else we can talk, what are the other areas we can look at, product development for example, right. Here is product development, so product new design and innovation. There may be some areas actually we are not doing that one at the best level. For example, even pharmaceutical, there may be ground for more product improvement, right, product improvement and introduction of new products, you can mention about that one, right. Right. So such is the most appropriate operation management strategies for HCL in implementing business strategies at the operation level of the organization under the current context of COVID-19. So then we look at about the examiner's answer also. Considering the COVID situation and the new technologies introduced in the logistic and power and energy sector, it is further evidence that HCL is always trying to maintain high standard in all their SBUs, irrespective of the capital cost involved. The efficiency and effectiveness of operation activities are reflected in the gross profit margin. Therefore, HCL has to address the operation of the leisure and travel, power and logistics sectors. Yes, profit. Why leisure and travel, power and logistics sector? They are suffering losses. අපි efficient නැද්ද කියලා බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් අපි earn කරන දිහා බැලුවාම. අපි earn කරන්නේ නැත්නම් අපි loss නම් අපි suffer කරන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි efficient නැහැ කියන එක. We are not efficient. So in this leisure and travel, power and logistics sector, we are experiencing losses. Guest visiting through a well-established international recognized travel agency are well within the required quantity. The occupation rate of 80% for the year, even with the drawback caused by incidents such as Easter attack in April 2019, show the effectiveness of the leisure and travel sector. Relatively, they are okay, no. However, the drop in revenue in the leisure sector may be due to the high cost of the supply chain for maintaining the 5-star standard, food and other raw material required. Therefore, it is essential to look into the supply chain efficiency in the leisure and travel sector and concentrate on the total supplies while taking into consideration the customer requirement under COVID-19 situation. There may be areas for improvement. That is the point highlighted by the examiner regarding this hotel sector, right. Then power and energy, in the power and energy sector the raw material is free, but the other direct costs such as maintenance and direct labor costs have to be monitored. Further, the waste of energy due to non-purchase of CB at different time also could be an issue. Therefore, energy storage possibility have to be explored, if not already installed. Overall, HCL has to consider whether to keep this P if the future says to the CB has limitations. So, you have to carefully look at whether it is worthwhile to continue with this sector or not. In the logistics sector, more market penetration may be required. There again, it is evidence that HCL has spent on the latest technology, but they may not be used at the real efficiency level. Therefore, more concern is required in the operational areas of the leisure and travel, power and energy and logistic sectors. So, in these areas we are not performing well, there may be some efficiency associated problems, right. Then you can look at about the next one, discuss the human resource practices of HCL and suggest a strategy for better performance of HCL. What do you think about that? If you look at about this common tree scene, actually, for example, labor practices, we will look at about labor practices what they are mentioning. Look at the leadership of him little bit. There are some HR point mentioned. See, the Edward was a strong believer of partnering and building relationship with people. He trusted everyone who worked in his company and his work hard to achieve his dream of becoming a leading regional player. That is one information. They trusted the employees. Look at this next point. Edward firmly believed that the employees are the strength of the company and provide all the facilities such as transport, food and sometimes logistic for certain staff members in order to keep them productive and loyal to the organizations. The employees are paid well and they are long-standing employee working in the company. Edward inspired his board members as well as his employee to achieve unexpected and remarkable result. He gives workers autonomy over specific job as well as the authority to make decisions once they have been trained. So, this provides some information regarding HR practices. So, it is clear that actually they are treating employees well. Employee welfare is really good, welfare administration function is performing well, motivation is there, right. Then freedom is given to the employees. So, you can commonly mention few points in addition to this one, maybe come up with some good training program, that may be a suggestion, right. So, talent management may be another solution you can provide to get the best people into the organization, talent management, employee development, right. Even in certain areas there may be lacking of some motivational program, and you can introduce some motivational program, especially I think this performance management. There are certain SBUs which are not performing well, therefore, you can suggest to come up with better performance management system in relation to them. So, that may be helpful to improve the performance of this particular organizations. In addition to that one, maybe right, some formal HR divisions, we do not have that information actually. Maybe right, HR director can be appointed and under him you can organize this HR function well, like that. You can mention those points within your answer. So, we look at about the examiner answer also. Is explaining the HR policies, existing HR practices. First, look at about the existing HR practices first. It is very clear that the leader of the organization, Edward, has a direct influence on the organizational culture, which created different HR practices policy that could be unique to HCL. Yes, he is influencing the organization. He has empowered the employees, mainly the employees who have gained his trust and provided them with good facility to motivate them. So I also show you this point. In the pre-scene, he is extract from the pre-scene. Yeah. So right. He trusts the employee, that was mentioned previously. Right. See, he trusted everyone who work in his company. Yeah. That point actually here. Right. Good facilities and motivate them. So here see extract from here. Right. Provide all the facilities such as transport, food and sometimes logistics for certain staff members. And he has empowered the employee, mainly the employee who have gained his trust. Here it mentioned actually workers autonomy were given, more freedom was given in the free scene. He extract from that point. Further, all the head of the SBU are expert in the particular field. Yes, that's another point. No, whenever he recruit the CEO for the company, he look at about their expertise. That means they have very good recruitment process. Further, all the head of the SBUs are expert in the particular field, and they are also his friend. This shows that Edward give authority once the employee have been trained, and that there is a comprehensive training system in place. Although there is a group HR policy that track indicated including attrition, diversity, occupation, health and safety and training hours of all this view, the strong culture included by Edward Pavel overcoming all these indicated is practical situation if any organization which is led by its general leader. Yes, he is having impact in determining the culture of these organizations. The above practice will benefit the organization as the leader has his control, the special treatment by the chairman to some trusted employee to in a performance management system. We don't know, we don't have that information to come to conclusions, whether he differently treat the people or not. The misconduct done by two trusted senior managers is evidence of certain ad hoc HR practice and monitoring method. Yeah, something wrong with the supervision, no? True. Right. So two senior managers did a fraud, no? As an inspiring leader and founder of HCL, Edward can influence the loan servicing employees and get the work going according to his requirement. Further, the SBU head are also good friend of his and support his thinking, and therefore it can be assumed that Edward can also get to them to work according to his requirement. The CEO and finance director who are not members of the board are now requesting the board to make SCL a public company, separate the SBU as separate company. It may be due to the difficulty they are facing to improve total performance. One good example is a non-functioning of the risk management system. We should be very active in public audit company. However, once again it is essential to mention that the decision taken by a successful entrepreneur may have more practical validity in a business like in HCL than in analyzed decisions. He analyze the existing situations, then the suggestion. You look at what are the suggestion he is making. He is making more suggestion, no? We look at about his suggestion. It is very important to execute a very effective HR policy, as the SBU are highly technology and service oriented. Employees have to be very efficient and effective. It is fact that Edward is reaching his 80s and has limited capacity to get involved in the operational activities. Therefore, continuity of the proper function of HCL as a leading business entity has to be ensured. That is one of the problem, no? The culture of working with trust and commitment inculcated by Edward has to be maintained. Hence, the performance evaluation system has to be further investigated, and it will be important to have a group HR division headed by a group HR director. You should have come up with a good performance management system. Plus, better to have a separate HR division, group HR division headed by a group HR director. While maintaining the group HR culture, it will be important to ensure that the mission of each SBU is achieved successfully. The person head of the SBUs can easily be example to their employees on how to maintain Edward attributes. However, some of them may also be of the same age as Edward, and therefore they must also have a continued plan for the business. Succession planning is important. That is highlighted here. The proposal by the CEO and the finance director convert to public audit company has reasonable validity under these circumstances. The question is, can other head of SBU maintain the same level of leadership in the absence of Edward? So here talk about this talent management, succession planning little bit. Succession planning actually especially. If the board agreed to change HCL structure to a public audit company and separate the SBUs as separate businesses, then HCL should have a different HR policy power distribution in a public order company is completely different to an organization like HCL, led by a visionary leader whose decisions are successfully implemented throughout. So, if it has become a public company, then practices should be changed. Therefore, a careful change management policy has to be agreed and adopted by the board. If that happens, no, only you can talk on this. Another fact to be considered is that trusted employee may not be an efficient and effective employee. Therefore, HR policies and procedures to identify the most efficient employees and way of motivating them have to be implemented. The system have to be established for an employee to develop his or her career without the personal influence of leader. In HHB, the talent required from each employer are different. Therefore, for specific development program aimed at the requirement HHB have to be established. Training and development. That is one another HR function. No, as a relation development, especially Edward has a capacity to do it. However, these are focused on an annual attribute. This is not very good situation for the continuity of successful business like HCL. Therefore, the requirement for an effective HR system is vital for HCL and it has to be implemented as soon as possible with the consent and blessing of Edward. Right, he has given a detailed answer on that. But if you look at about the answer, actually common things, for example, performance management, training and development, succession planning, employee motivation, organizational culture, things that you have learned in HR part. I will show you some of the example on this one. HR what you have learned, right. So, see here the recruitment, selection, social, employee motivations, pay and reward system, performance management, he talk about performance management. Then succession planning, actually under this human resource planning it comes succession planning, right. The motivations, these things. Then the culture you learn in the next topic under further aspect in HR, you learn that one. Here see, motivations, so here is change management. He was talking about change management. If it become a public company, then there may be requirement of change management. Right. He talked about change management, then he talked about leadership also a little bit. Culture, he talked about culture, training and development. These things were mentioned. So HR part can be addressed actually easily. It's not a difficult one. Then the part F, the last part of the questions, discuss the motives, drivers and challenges for HCL in the involvement of the international business. 10 marks. Now they have involved with this international business now, right. So Indian parties deal, then Bangladesh is start Bangladesh operations. Motive, drivers and challenges for HCL in the involvement of the international business. So that is more theory area. So we will look at about that the international theory part you have learned. So you look at these questions. Motives, drivers and challenges. In your topic number 15, strategies for internationalizations, first 3 topic, motives, drivers and challenges. This question is based on that. So it tests your theory knowledge on in relation to this? Look at our motives, for example. So, motives, there are 5 C's, motives. Why you want to go into international market? Customer, company, competition, currency and country, drivers, financial factors, country contingent connection, legal and regulatory factors, market trading, international communities, the internet, government policy. Challenges, there are some risks, political risks, business risks, currency risks, privatization risks. These are the theoretical area. Right. So, we will look at about the examiner's answer also. All the present HCL SBUs are highly connected to the international businesses in terms of marketing, business partnering for expansions, supply chain partnering, training and development partnering. All SBUs are connected with the international business, no? These can also be considered for exploiting the competitive advantage of each SBU. If we analyze each SBU for motives, drivers and challenges, we can construct the following table. Yes, develop table: healthcare, FMCG, leisure and travel, logistics, power and energy. He has taken that one and develop a table. Motives, healthcare, what are the motives? The product is similar worldwide and it is only the brand that matters. True, no? Drugs, local only have drugs. People, for example, think about this COVID-19 vaccine these days. Everyone getting similar vaccines, no? So, that is one of the motives factors. Then, since we are in the business for so many years now, we may have economic of scale in some product. So, we can use that advantage to go to world market. Prestige purpose. So, as a owner now, he want to fulfill his some his personal requirement, personal needs, like what are the needs? Like self esteem needs. So, prestige purpose, he want to go to foreign country, competitiveness, then there may be some currency advantage and Sri Lankan location may be an advantage. You may be able to get raw material at a lower cost, or you can do testing and research and development facility, and you can have better facilities for hospital. For example, if you establish a hospital in Mali, that will be an opportunity. Drivers, so government encouraging a financial incentive for exporters, international trading advantage, development of manufacturing technology, reaching international market, brand development, possibility of becoming an OEM company, possible joint ventures. So, we have done that one, no? Joint ventures. Challenges, not an easy to face competition with other parties, there may be political risks. The countries may have strict policies. Then another challenge is maintenance of international standard. There is a currency risk, logistics support, cross-cultural issues, culture may not be matching with those cultures, for example, sales guys, right. So, you have to think about these things. The FMCG, what are the motives? Raw material suppliers joining with international brand, introducing new product. Drivers, what are drivers? Technology development, OEM supply, joint ventures, introducing local Ayurvedic product. Challenges, competition. Other countries may experience some cost savings due to economic of scale. Then it is required to maintain international quality standard. It's a challenge. The leisure and travel sector, whatever leisure and travel sector, what are the motives? So, it is important to identify tourists who are high spenders. One of the criticism for us in recent past also we experienced. බොහොම දුප්පත් රටවල් වලින් foreigners ලා આવොත් එහෙම අපිට වැඩක් නැහැ නේ. So they are not spending much. Then join with international travel agencies. Motive, you can join with some international travel agencies, promote the country and unique attribute. You can promote Sri Lanka as a country. You can use digital platform. Drivers, earning foreign exchange. As a country we need that one. High profit from high spenders, we can earn profit. We can offer tailor-made package for high-end customers. Joint ventures is to operation, training possibilities. What are challenges? Cultural restraint for entertainment. So here, you can't give everything foreigners request due to these cultural barriers. The international chain operating in this region. There will be some international hotels, very difficult to compete with them, like Shangri-La, right? Then Marriott. Then country situations. So now this COVID impact, adverse advice on foreign travelling. Most of the countries have asked not to travel to Sri Lanka now. Language difficulties, our guys may not be able to communicate with them. Language difficulties. Local service attitudes. Logistic area, what are the motives? Support of international operators. Then technology updates, use of digital platforms, transit opportunities. Then drivers, constant business opportunities, joint venture partnership, foreign exchange earnings. Challenges, what are the challenges? Poor infrastructure facilities compared to other similar countries. We don't have much facilities. Transport difficulties, congested port. Very busy ports, very difficult to clear the things very quickly. Power and energy. What are the motives? Equipment supply, training for staff, maintenance support. No drivers. What are the challenges? Government policies do not allow export of electricity. Government is not allowing to export the electricity. So that a challenge. So 10 mark questions. So with that we can complete the part and we can complete the 50 mark questions, which is based on pre-seen. There are two parts actually, pre-seen and unseen, not an easy question to answer.